Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Laura Canfield Show, the Create Your Life video series. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm so excited because I feel like there's so much more that we can explore with this topic of creating your life and going beyond mediocre to infinite possibility. There's just so much, and especially right now, so much is changing. And when you're open to that change, when you're open to going with the flow, using your awareness, checking in with your awareness, and really being open to different possibilities and whatever is showing up with that sense of wonder and sense of awe and that sense of, all right, let's play. I feel like anything is possible. So, part of what I like all the time is that the energy of anything is possible. I've always loved that. That's always been a big part of me. But now it really, truly does feel more and more like, you know what? Anything truly is possible. And it's a matter of us choosing, and it's a matter of us being in the flow, being in the moment, being in the flow. So today, I'm so excited that we have Laleh Alemzadeh Hancock with us. Hopefully I said your name right. It's like I've been practicing it all day.
You're pretty close, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. So Laleh's here with us today, and she is a management and communications consultant. She's an Access Consciousness certified facilitator and a facilitator of Joy of Business, Right Voice for You, Right Riches for You, Being You, Conscious Parent, Conscious Kid, and the CEO of Bella Pimo and Global Wellness for All. That's a lot of stuff. Oh, wow. So with nearly 30 years experience in operational excellence, change management, organizational wellness, and business consulting, Laleh has inspired and empowered hundreds of thousands of individuals, including Fortune 500 execs, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, athletes, and veterans. And she is an advocate for people of ages with special needs or disabilities and their caregivers, and was named the top coaching and wellness expert in Maryland, Virginia, and DC by top doctors interviews. And so, I asked Laleh to be here with us today in this series because whenever I see her, she is always so full of energy, so full of life, so full of joy. It's like, it's contagious. I just love it, right? And it's like beautiful. And so I'm so glad that you're here with us. And I'm so glad that, you had the opportunity and the time to be with us, because I know how busy you are. Just reading your qualifications and everything that you do is like, wow. So thank you so much. And you're creating so much. So can you take a few moments just to tell us about your story of who you are and how you started with Access Consciousness?
Well, first, I just want to thank you for inviting me to be part of this, because I am always looking at, what are the infinite possibilities? What are ways that we can share what we know with others so that they know that there's other things that are available, other things that they can choose from. And I know it sounds easy to the ones who now know that's even available, but there's so many people in the world that don't even know that they actually have the ability to change their job or change something that's going on in their health. And so for me, you named some of those things and I'm like, I actually didn't include everything in that bio. That's just what we share when I write articles for different magazines. And one thing that really, I love creating. And I love creating with others. And so for me, I was like, wow, I didn't even put on there the things that I do with Access and other things that I do. It's because for me, it's never that I'm doing too much. But it's more of like, today, what else can I add to my life?
Yeah.
What else can I add to the businesses? What else can I be a contribution to consciousness for? And that kind of goes from there. So you asked a great question, because people ask me this question all the time of like, how did you even find Access Consciousness? Or how did it find you? I don't know. It's one or the other.
Right.
And it's funny. I would say it was at a peak of my life where things were going pretty awesome. I had just remarried. I was looking to, I had just sold my house in less than one day.
Wow.
I had just bought a house. My business, my management consulting was at a point of it was so great busy that I felt like I wanted to pull my hair out because I didn't even know what to do because I had so much going on. And I met someone at another event. I went to this event called Quantum Touch.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to work with her, and this woman hadn't walked in 6 years. Like, she couldn't go up the stairs, she couldn't walk her animals and all this other stuff. And we spent 15 minutes together. And next thing she knows, she's like, oh my God, I can move my leg. And she went home to take care of her dogs.
Wow.
And so she called me and she's like, hey, I know it's your birthday tomorrow. Can I come and gift you something? Mm. And I was like, oh my God, I just sold the house. I'm doing this. Yes, please, please come. And she came and she ran the bars for me. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea what it was. She had asked me a couple times, check out the website. And each time I got to the old website, I didn't even know where to go. It was this interesting thing. Like, my body and me, I just knew I had to say yes, but I had no idea what I was saying yes to. Mm-hmm. And then she, she's like, hey, I need a chart. Let me look at the chart on what I need to do.
Yeah.
And then we just talked. And I was like, literally, the minute she touched my head, all I said was, what is this? I need to tell the whole world about it. I don't know what it is, but I just have to tell the whole world about it. And it was funny because prior to that, I would say I've tried tools, techniques, different business classes. I've done self-help books, tools, workshops, like for like 20 or more things that I had tried over probably more than 20 years. And yet nothing until I had the bars was I curious enough to actually want to learn it, want to teach it to others, and want to just like spread it across the world. And that's what opened the doors for me. And I'll tell you, that was one of the greatest birthdays, like the greatest gift for me. Mm-hmm. That sensation of when she ran my bars, and just the world of possibilities just like exploding.
And that's so empowering, isn't it? When you have that world of possibilities exploding in front of you and you know that something else is possible for you. I mean, it's like a lot of, like, when I was growing up, I did not know that anything was possible for me, right? I didn't have choice. I was doing everything that my parents and society wanted me to do, right? And because of my family structure, I couldn't do anything else. I was a good girl, right? So, I didn't want to be bad.
I know what you're talking about. That was me too. But I realized all the places that I had that, and where I like bent it a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But you don't realize that until after the fact. And it's like, oh yeah, you know what? I haven't really been, exactly, doing everything that they wanted. I kind of did a little bit here and there, right? And so for myself, it was always about choosing what was right for me. And so I would do what I was supposed to do, but make a slight shift that was for me, right? And then, of course, slowly I changed everything and didn't care if it was right for anybody else or not. It was just, this is it. But when you started with Access, when you started with the bars, and how long have you been doing it now? Like, how long have you been with Access now?
So I became a bars facilitator, I think it was 6.5 years ago or something like that. Maybe 5.5 years ago, something of that.
So from then to now,
it's a whole new world.
A whole new world, absolutely. So what are some of your favorite tools that you use on a daily basis?
Okay, there's so many. I don't know if I'll be able to share every single one, but I would say, in other things you learned in school, the basics, you're like, oh, I learned the basics and then I learned the advanced stuff and then I never go back to the basics. Mm-hmm. With Access, I really don't find that. And I mean, like, I was facilitating this weekend, and how much we brought up, who does it belong to? Mm-hmm. Around, creating our business, creating our relationships. When you wake up in the morning and all the information you're aware of, just that's one magic tool that I would say I use throughout the day.
Yeah.
How does it get even better than this is definitely a tool that is in my toolbox to use on a regular basis. Now, one thing before Access, and something that's really helped me expand with the Access tools, is communication with my body. Mm. So for me, there is nothing I don't do without including my body in the conversation. So even before getting out of bed, gratitude, lots of gratitude for me and my body, starting from that point. And then it's like, what would be fun for us? And then I tap into the businesses and I talk to the projects that I have. There's just a lot going on. But first it starts with that connection with my body, connecting to the earth with my body, and then connecting to every molecule in the universe. And truly being part of that oneness and allowing that oneness to be part of my day.
Beautiful. Wow. Yeah. I love that. How many of us disregard our body and don't even ask the universe to contribute? You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I would say before access, I called the universe different words, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like there was moments of, I would say I'm having a conversation with God, or I was having a conversation with different kinds of energies and things of that sort. And what I've just realized is there is no right, there is no wrong, there is no preference here and there. It just is what works for you. And connecting to whatever that is that works with you. And you don't have to do it all by yourself.
Exactly. And that's a big thing for a lot of people still, is that we're doing it all on our own, and we don't think we can ask for support from the universe, whatever name you want to use. And still, some of us, not me anymore, but in the past, didn't think we deserved to ask. Didn't think we deserved to have that contribution, that support, that love, that whatever word you want to use. We didn't think we deserved it for whatever reason, right? And when we are doing that, how much are we cutting off our own life, right? And truly, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, there is no concept of deserving or not. You know, I mean, I learned that later on in life, you know, but it's like, there's no concept of that. There's just pure love, right? I don't know what, that's the word I use. It's just pure love, just unconditional love. And that support. And, as I'm saying this right now, I am like perceiving all of the energies that I work with, in spirit and creator, source, God, just flooding my entire being, because it's so true, right? And it's like, and that was never absent, but I didn't focus on that. I cut myself off from that receiving. So can you talk a little bit about receiving?
Oh my God, that was my conversation in my energy pools earlier today. It was all about receiving. Because most of us don't even know what receiving is until we come into access anyway, or to a toolbox of some kind that even starts mentioning it. Like, it's not really the term that most people use. And then I find that a lot of us, when we do know that receiving is part of us being able to create whatever we'd like, for us to be actually receiving for what the universe is here to contribute to us, what we can be and do, a lot of us define it as something that they can see. So if they can't see it, they go into the space of, oh, I didn't receive it. Mm-hmm. And then they create some wrongness of, what did I do wrong? I don't have it, and things. And so my conversation earlier this morning was like, what if receiving was nothing of what you've defined it to be? But yet it includes the fact that you might physically actualize something you're asking for. But what if it's also information? What if it's also your awareness? When you put an ask into the world, what you're actually doing is you're immediately creating it somewhere. It may not be physically actualized in front of you. So sometimes it's even just the energy or the awareness of, hey, I need to call my mom right now. And by you actually choosing to do that step, creates the steps that are necessary for you to receive what you're asking for.
True.
So for me, receiving is very interesting. And all of us, it doesn't matter who we are, it doesn't matter what tools we've ever used, we are naturally receiving magnets. How many of you guys know when someone's upset? Mm-hmm. You're receiving that energy and you're aware of what's going on. How many of you were like, hey, I probably shouldn't have gone down that street? Or whatever that was for you. So we're receiving continuously. The difference is how much do we go into our head of what are we asking for, and is it showing up the way we are asking, and is it showing as fast as we're asking?
Mm-hmm. Well, in some instances, I'm finding right now things are showing up faster than ever before, right? And so those things that aren't showing up are the places where I'm trying to control it. So let me ask that question to all of you as well. Does that resonate with you? Are there some things that you're asking for that are not showing up? And are there some things that you're asking for that are showing up right now with ease and as if by magic? Because I think this is kind of where people get stuck, because they want to receive and actualize in a way that makes sense to their mind, right? And not necessarily the way that it actually is. Does that make sense?
So, what's interesting is that when we have an ask, whatever it is, let's just say, a lot of times people, they want to ask about money. So let's just use that as an example. But let's say you're asking for $1,000, okay? Or whatever, 1,000 euros or whatever that is in your world. If they don't see 1,000 showing up in their bank account, they assume they haven't received it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But what happens is the minute you ask for the $1,000, what you're actually doing is you're asking for you to also receive the awareness of what's stopping you from having that $1,000. So one of the first things that comes up when you put an ask into the world is to show you all the places that you may have not been willing to change, not willing to be that energy, willing to receive the awareness so that you can actually have it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are saying, okay, I asked for $1,000 and today I received a call to go be on Alara's show. Mm-hmm. Well, Alara, are you going to be paying me $1,000 to do your show?
No, not in cash.
What else is possible? No, but I'm saying, okay, so people go, well, if that's not my $1,000,
yeah,
then they go into, well, that's not my ask showing up, instead of, oh, if I choose whatever's coming up, what will my life and the world be like in 5 years or 10 years or 50 years? And going from that expanded energy, because even though there's no transaction of money happening between you and me, we're generating and creating an energy from the minute we both said yes.
Yes.
Till now.
Mm-hmm.
We're generating lots of different energies that are just going out into the universe right now.
Mm-hmm.
And will continue to go. And from some of that, something else will get created, and there'll be multiple streams of possibilities that can yield 1,000 and more.
And more, exactly. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, and that's kind of like mind-boggling, because the mind can't get it. The mind can't grasp it, right? But it's about, the energy of, for example, when I asked you and you said yes, and we came together to create this, that energy, you can't define it, right? It's a contribution to both of us and everybody else who is part of this project and part of this series. It's a contribution to all of us, not in a way that we can define. So are we willing to receive that contribution in whatever way it shows up now and in the future?
Yeah. And one thing, I teach a lot of money classes. I'm a Right Riches for You facilitator. So one of the things I actually say is, it's not about you not asking for money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it's also you willing to receive from everything.
Mm-hmm.
And this being one of those things that you can receive to contribute to you, your body, your life, your living, your business, but also to the world, because we're all connected with oneness. Whether we like to say it or not, we are connected to everything.
Mm-hmm. And
we can choose to receive from everything, or we can choose to receive from the things that we have decided are right or they're good. And the other piece of this is that I want to share from earlier conversation. When you ask for 1,000, usually people aren't asking for cash. So when you say money, the universe doesn't assume you mean cash.
Mm-hmm.
Money includes cash, but it's not just cash. So one of the things that I invite people to do is start to get to know your finances a little bit more. Be more aware of the amount of money that is coming into your life and the amount of money that you are paying out. Mm-hmm. And when you look at it and you do this often, you will realize, oh, I received X amount of cash here that I never even realized I received. I received some here in my pocket and some in my purse. Like, money will start to show up in places that you have not defined as your only source of where money comes from.
Wow. And so, an interesting word you just used is about source. Where is money coming from? So for people who have a job, a job job, 9-to-5 job, is the money coming from that job, or is the source really something or someone else? I did not know we were going to go here today.
Me neither. You never know where we go with these conversations. So one of the things is that, yes, your job can be one place that you can receive. Mm-hmm. Okay. But what if you allowed your job to make you more money in other places that yet you haven't defined or determined could bring you money? So your money can make you more money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes back to what you said earlier. When you try to control, you stop the natural flows and the random particulates and the normal chaos of what actually creates. And so when you're like, okay, I have to make $1,000, it has to come from my job, it has to be my bonus, whatever, you're literally taking, let's say, all these infinite places where cash can actually come into your life, and you're saying, halt, come only from this little box that I've described, and come in this way and come into my bank account. Mm-hmm. Like, how much energy do you have to use to create that box, okay? And to stop all the flow on all the different directions it wants to come. But you also won't allow yourself to have the awareness of where, if you called your mom, she may want to give you $1,000 today. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what I mean? I'm just using the mom as an example, but it's like there's all these other ways that money can be generated. And, just to take it to another level, I'm curious, all of you guys, at a time where you were really joyful, like you really had excitement in your body, you were thrilled, you were laughing, something just had you very happy or joyful. Happy is a tough word. Joyful. Did you even worry about money?
Nope.
Because money is this funny thing. Money is energy, your energy. Money travels at the frequency of the higher harmonics. So when you are joyful, when you are excited, when you have enthusiasm, when you're not thinking, okay? And I call it like a radio station. Like, imagine a radio station back then, before we were all digital and all this good stuff, but like, when you were on the FM radio, if you were on 107.3, you would hear whatever's going on 107.3. Mm-hmm. But if you were on the radio station of 97.1, you're going to hear what's going on in 97.1. Well, imagine if money is traveling at 107.3 and you are worried about money, you're worried, you're panicking, you're frustrated, you're mad, whatever, and that's traveling here. Will the two ever come together? Mm-mm. No, it's the same thing. Money follows joy. Joy doesn't follow money. And when you are like, at this moment, I need $1,000 and I don't know what to do. First, stop. Watch something funny, a video on YouTube, something silly.
Yeah.
Totally boost your energy of being at a different frequency. And then ask, like, okay, what do I have to choose? who do I need to talk to? Where do I need to go so that I can invite $1,000 into my life? In cash. If you need it in cash, ask for cash.
Mm-hmm.
And then be willing to let go of whatever you've decided to why you can't have it. Because that's the other piece, is your point of view will stop whatever you're asking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. Because I was just going to ask that question. Like, okay, so what can we ask then? You know, so that's.
Now, you know, the one thing I want to say is people think like they need to have the perfect question to ask.
Mm.
There is no perfect question. There's questions we can share with you that we can say have worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how does it get even better? What else is possible? These are all yummy ones, and no matter what's going on, it just keeps making it greater.
Yeah.
But one question you can ask is, hey, what question can I ask here that will change this energy right here, right now? And then something will pop in your world of awareness to what it is you require to change it.
Mm. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. So I forgot to mention when we started going live, if you have a question, you can raise your hand or you can type in the chat box. So Albina is asking, could you talk about the component, I'm assuming component of time when asking and receiving money in cash?
So I will tell you, the minute you put a time limit to something, you literally stop the flow. But, okay, that said, if you actually need the money for your rent and you need it now, first get out of the lack world of I have to have it. Mm-hmm. So first, one question I love, and Dane shared this with me like a year or two ago, is what invention am I using to create the need that I'm choosing? Because anytime you go into desperation or anytime you go into that energy of you not having, there's something you're inventing in your world. Now I know you, Albina. You're on my money pools. So I know what you know. So we have the capacity for lots of different things. And one of our capacities is to be the magnet to pull money to us. Most of us, though, we somehow decide we're not going to do it. Somehow we decided, you know what, in another lifetime or someplace you decided money, if I have money, somehow it's not a good thing. So first thing with money, go into the questions of what do I hate about money? Because when you start, you're like, but I don't hate money. Not you, I'm just talking in the general public, but like you'll realize somewhere you bought it from someone else or something else to where you're actually resisting money coming into your life. And it doesn't matter why, don't care about the why. Whatever energy comes up. Okay, so let's ask. So what do you hate about money? Did something come up for you guys? A word or an energy come up?
So, somebody has their hand raised. Hold on.
Linda.
I'm going to unmute you, Linda. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I just remember what that one lady said. I have everything I need and more. Galore, galore.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
And because that raises your vibration, it raises you higher, and it makes things better. So is that a good one to pursue? I think it is.
Sure. There is no good or bad. They're all good.
Yeah. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. So one of the things, it doesn't matter what comes up, but whatever comes up for you is going to be specific to you, to what you're resisting money for. So even if you don't have words, just say all this energy that came up, I now destroy and create it. And then the magic tool. Have you shared the magic tool on here?
We have on other ones, but go ahead. So yes.
So, the clearing statement from Access, it's right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And when I first heard that, I thought it was the silliest thing in the world. And then when my kids learned it in our first bars class, they would just giggle every time they heard the boys, shorts, boys, and beyond. They would just laugh. And I realized, I'm like, wow, like seriously, like if we're willing to be like kids and totally laugh at everything, nothing's going to stick to us, you know? But with the money also, like, it's not something that may be cognitive for you. Like you may think, oh yeah, money is this, this, and this for me, but then it's the underlying energy of what your point of views are about money. And I would do the same thing about time. So everywhere you've made time significant, just trying to create all of that. Right, wrong, good and bad, fun, POC, all nine shorts, boys and meows. Because if you're willing to not think of it from a time, like what I get done in literally 16 or 18-hour days, most people would probably take them weeks, months, or years to do. So if I based it purely on time, I wouldn't be able to do all the things that I actually get to do and create. So with the timing though, the other thing with timing is that, okay, so let's say, seriously, like a lot of times people come to me and they're like, Laleh, I really need some cash so I can pay my bills this month. Mm-hmm. So there is a need for them to have it by a certain period of time. So we flip it and we say, oh, would you be willing to use speed of space instead? So start with the curiosity. So do what you need to do to elevate your energy, okay? So whatever that is, if it's to have your coffee that you just love and it just makes you and your body so happy, remember, your body's the one that cares about money, not you. Mm-hmm. So what would make you and your body be at that space of expanded energy? And then from curiosity, what would it be like for me to have $1,000 at the speed of space? Now, Alara, tap into that, okay? Yeah. And now tap into, okay, what would it be like if I had $1,000 like tomorrow? Yeah, the energies are so different. When you do from curiosity, you allow the quantum particulates, you allow the random particulates to actually be the contribution to bring it to you, for you to create with the universe. But when you go into that space of lack, you literally are at the lower frequency, and the only thing you can match is the lack. So a lot of times when people ask from a lack, what they create is more bills. Or they create something in their life, like being locked out and causing more expense to come into their lives. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, their tires go flat and they need to buy new tires for their car. Like, because what happened is the space that you ask is the space of what you're asking to match your ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love this. Divine love and infinite gratitude. Gratitude and judgment cannot coexist. Anything you start with gratitude, first be grateful for your bills, be grateful for anything and everything, and then ask for more.
Yeah. And I think, people, don't necessarily look at gratitude when they're, going through a difficult time. It's hard for them to tap into gratitude when they're going through a difficult time or lack or anything like that, right? So, but that's when you need it even more. Need is a strong word, but need it even more. That's when you should be using it even more and using these tools of what else is possible? How does it get any better than this? And even who does it belong to? Right? Because even that lack, that those feelings, those thoughts, those emotions around lack, are they even yours?
That's a big one. We buy and that's the other thing. And I'll address Abina's question that she put in here too. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, if you guys literally, when I first got into Access, Dr. Dane would talk about 3 days. For 3 days, ask, who does this belong to, for everything, every feeling, every emotion, every sensation, every pain, anything that was going on in your world for 3 days. Would you be willing for 3 days to say, okay, it might be mine, but I'm going to ask, who does this belong to? Is it mine, someone else, or something else? And of course, me being the person that I was like, 3 days, that's not enough for me. I need to do 3 weeks. And do you know, the first day I was in my kitchen and I got this sensation of like my shoulder, like this intensity. I was out of nowhere, just like boom. And I was like, oh my God, what is that? And then I said, oh, let me ask my questions. Who does that belong to? And immediately it wasn't mine. It was someone else. And of course, at that moment, I wanted to figure out who it belonged to.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do that. That doesn't help you. You don't need to know who it belongs to. Just return it to the sender with consciousness attached. So I was like, oh, it's my mom's. So then I'm like, okay, normally I'd be like, oh my God, I don't want to send it back to my mother.
Exactly.
But luckily, I knew this tool doesn't go back to my mother. It goes to the point of the original source of what created it. And I'm asking from there to have greater consciousness so that anyone else who chose it would now have the possibility to change it too.
Wow. I've never heard that before. Thank you.
That's my point of view.
I like that, because for me too, it's like, okay, if this is my son, I don't want to send it back to him. So, I do return with blessings, return with unconditional love, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, part of me still doesn't want to send it back to,
But if you're saying return it to the sender,
yeah,
the sender is the original creator.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your mom, your brother, your son, or anybody else. We are the ones who have psychically picked it up as ours, thinking it's ours. And so that's why they say, like when you actually let go of a point of view, you let go in more than 350,000 people.
Right.
Because, and I actually think it's higher now. I think that was a long time ago, that 350,000. But because it's like, how many people are psychic on this planet? A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
And they think they had a miracle. Yesterday they had shoulder pain. They've had it for 6 years. Today it's gone. It's a miracle. It is. It's the miracle that you actually chose to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And you were part of that consciousness that was attached to it being let go. Yeah. And it creates such a different space. So anyway, I did that with my mom and that was it. The rest of the 3 weeks, it was so funny. I was like, okay, once I did it the first time, I was like, okay, I can choose that anything that belongs to me can come back in 3 weeks. For now, nothing's going to belong to me. And I'm going to say, who does it belong to? And I return it to the sender with consciousness attached. And then the next question is it yours, someone else, or something else? And something else, 99% of the time, is actually the earth. It requires you. It requires your contribution. It requires you. So I said, okay, for everything I'm sensing, anything I'm aware of, I'm going to return it to the senders with consciousness attached and immediately send contribution to the earth. And you could just say, earth, I send you contributions.
It's
You can say 1, 2, 3. That's contribution to the earth. You can pray and contribute to the earth. You can send the earth kisses. It's whatever works for you. And do you know, I had nothing. Literally after the first day, after I did this for the 3 weeks, there was nothing. Nothing was mine. Everything went away. And I was like, wow, like, how come I didn't know this tool years ago? All the years I made everything else mine.
Wow. I have to say, I haven't been able to do it. I mean, I've tried doing the who does it belong to for 3 days many times. I have not been able to get to day 3. It's like,
but I'm wondering now that you know, if it doesn't harm someone to return it, how much that will change in your world, because we are so aware of other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for sure. Definitely. Because that was like, it's like, just, because, we're so caring and kind, and it's like, I don't want to, hurt anybody.
And that's the thing. I was the same way. I was like, I want to be a very kind person and I love people. Why would I want them to suffer or have pain or hurt or anything?
Yeah.
And then I realized when I'm not willing to let that go, I'm actually holding their pain here, letting it still exist or whatever that is for them. Like, I can't make them choose it, but if I can contribute to an energy that now can be in the universe that allows them to have the ability to change it, that's what I'm going to choose.
Yeah.
From that space.
Exactly.
I do want to say one thing, because Albina said, what would it take for me to be, know, perceive, receive the vibration of money with total ease and joy? And one thing I'd like to invite you and everyone else to is, what if we were the creators, not the money? And when you flip money being significant, important, money being what's going to make you happy, money is going to be what's going to pay the bills, you literally give all your power to money. And if something the universe is contributing to you isn't money, you won't even receive it, because to you, it's not in the form of what you've decided it has to be. But you are actually the generative and creative energy that can create and have money. And when you're willing to be like, I'm the creator of it, you then become the magnet of it. And money's funny. Money is like, you know, think of it like a party. Let's say you're having a party and you say, okay, I'm inviting all of you to my party. Okay? Mm-hmm. We're not going to have anything to eat. We're not going to drink anything. We're not going to dance. We're not going to talk. We're not going to laugh. And we're just going to have sad stories we're going to share.
Yeah.
How many people would show up to your party?
Nobody.
Maybe a friend who loves you, but after a point, they may not come either.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be like, no.
They're like, I can't take this. This isn't going to work for me. Money's the same way. Money doesn't come to those parties. Money's going to come to you when you're actually living and you have life in your body and you're actually desiring. It doesn't even have to be about money, but when you start, like, enjoy the flower. Like, I've got this beautiful plant in my office. My receiving of it, my God, it's not cash coming to me, but by me having gratitude for this plant, I'm willing to receive. I'm actually receiving from this plant, which could yield money. Mm-hmm. But I don't enjoy it just because it's that. I enjoy it because it's so beautiful and it's alive. And money will literally come to you from so many places if you don't define how it has to show up.
Yeah. And I think that's where we get stuck. We define it. So, and just the whole idea of everything contributing to you, right? Because everything is energy, everything contributing to you. And I'm looking at, my space and all the beautiful things and paintings and art and furniture that I have, and it all contributes to me because I just love it. And I didn't buy it so that it would contribute to me. We got it because, like, this is so beautiful. It makes me feel so good when I look at it, kind of thing, right? Or it feels good to the touch, or, it's like, I just like it, it's like, for me, it's like, I just like it. I have no idea, I just like it, right? But that is a contribution to you because it brings you joy. And then, like you said, joy follows, what is it? Joy follows money.
Money follows joy. Joy doesn't follow money.
Like, that doesn't make sense. But when you have joy, that's when the money can really flow to you because it's just energy. And when you're joyful, that's when you're being that magnet, right? And that's when you're attracting that energy, right?
Yeah. And it's funny, yesterday someone was, I was chatting about this specific topic of, like, would we be willing to receive from everything? Like, would you be willing to receive from your house, your car, your furniture, like the metal on your door, the lights? Like, if we're really willing to allow every consciousness of everything to contribute to us, it's amazing what we can add to our lives, including money. Okay. Now, what was funny is she was on Zoom, but she wouldn't be on video. She was in her kitchen and it was a mess. She had trash everywhere. And when we started to talk, she said, oh my God, Laleh, I just got the awareness of everywhere I haven't been willing to let the trash contribute to me. Mm. So when you said all these beautiful things, what if that's actually limiting to you receiving only from things you think are beautiful?
Right. Yeah.
Like, like, this might not be beautiful, but it can still contribute to me. Right?
Well, right? I get that, like, intellectually, but I don't get that
But it's the frequency of the energy of the consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's there to just lift you, embody you, and just be there to let you know everything's going to be okay?
Yeah. And it's just receiving the contribution without defining what it looks like. That's it.
Most of us have projected and expected what it's going to look like. And that's the first place I usually like to invite people. Like, before I even get out of bed, every projection, expectation, separation, rejection, conclusion, computation, decisions I've made, I destroy and create them. But I do them about me first.
Mm-hmm.
I do them about my body. I do them in my relationships, and I do them in the business too. Because then you have a clean slate to pick from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get to start your day as a whole new day. Mm-hmm. Letting go of anything that you made valuable, anything you made significant, and then you actually allow everything to be a contribution to your life and living.
Yeah, I think it's that. Those projections and those expectations, those judgments that we have about everything that are what limit our receiving the contribution that everything can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually Carolyn has a great question. She says, so then why do we return to sender stuff that feels bad? I actually never said return stuff that feels bad. I said, does it belong to you? If it doesn't belong to you, would you return it to the sender with consciousness attached? Because it's not about it being good or bad. It's where you've made it be yours. And now you're trying to figure it out, or you're trying to get it out of your body with the pain or whatever you're sensing. So, one thing in Access, we don't consider anything bad. Everything's energy. It's your point of view that makes it right or wrong. The earth, and this is where I include the earth in everything I do too, like the earth doesn't care if you were a good person yesterday or you're a bad person yesterday. To the earth, you are you. And the earth is going to contribute to you every day, no matter what. Now, I know that sounds weird because a few years ago, that didn't make any sense to me at all whatsoever. But once I realized the earth has no point of view. The earth is here to contribute to us no matter what we say we're doing or not doing right. And so from the return it to the sender is more about allowing you to differentiate what is it that is really yours versus what is that maybe you've made it yours and made it significant, and now you can choose something different. Yeah. So there was something else here. Carolyn also had asked, what if I'm asking for money for a specific project? You are most welcome to ask for a specific amount of money. The only thing I would ask, and I did this at the Money Monday today, Facebook Live, was, are you asking for enough money? Most of us live paycheck to paycheck, or we make a little bit more. But that's because what you're asking for, you're only asking for what you have today. Okay? So for example, if you need $10,000 a month, or you need $5,000 or whatever that is for you, okay? Stretch it. Now, some of you may not be able to double it right away because that might be whatever, wherever you are. So any energy that comes up, any points of view you have about making it more. So let's say if you normally need to ask for 5,000, okay? Ask for 7. And then anything that comes up, like, feelings, or, where you're like, oh, my chest feels like, all of that, destroy and create. And definitely return it to the senders with consciousness attached, because a lot of it's not even your point of view. It's just you're psychically picking it up from others. And what you'll find is if you are willing to actually ask for more, you'll realize you will receive more. Okay? The universe is here to give you abundance, and what you're asking for is this little teeny tiny hole of all of that. Now, it's not all about money. It's not the money. You are the creator. It's not about the money, but it's about not excluding money. Because in this reality, you do need money to pay your bills, to live, to drive your car, to go on a trip, to buy food. So ask for whatever it's going to be for you, but just know if you're comfortable, it means you're not creating change. You're doing the same thing over and over again. The uncomfortable is that space where you're now no longer doing exactly everything you were, and you've stretched that comfort. And when you do that, that's when you actually allow the infinite possibilities, the other possibilities that you weren't even willing to see before, show up.
Mm-hmm. So what if you're asking for millions?
Yeah, this is the thing about millions, okay? If you right now you make $20,000 and you're asking for 10 million, you're making that be inconceivable in your world, okay? So you have to be willing to be honest with you, be vulnerable with you, and say, okay, not from a space of judgment, okay? I'm going to write down all my bills, okay? I'm going to write down, in addition to my bills, what else would I like to add to my life? Okay, I'd like trips. I'd like to take classes. I'd like jewelry, whatever that is for you. Add it all up. Add 20% on top of that. And then add another 10%. Okay? And then that's the amount of money you're going to ask for. You want it to be uncomfortable, but you don't want it to be inconceivable in your mind that it's even possible. Because if you stretch it so much, you're like, that's never going to happen. You literally will create that can never happen.
Yeah. So you want the millions, but are you asking for the millions for tomorrow, Caroline, or for 5 years from now?
Yeah. And would you be willing the other way too? What is it that you are making today? How much do you bring in? How much do you have today that comes in every month? Let's say you bring in 2,000, okay? Would you be willing to double that? Okay, so tap into double that. Because money starts with you having the willingness to be the energy of what you're asking for. Okay, so if you double it, what are you aware of? Is that easy for you? Is something coming up? Are there words that come up? Whatever comes up, destroy and uncreate it. And then be like, okay, so from the 2,000, what if you made it 5 times more? Now what comes up for you?
And this is for everybody. This is not just for Caroline. This is for
everybody. This is for everybody. And then destroy and create all of that. And then do the same thing. Okay, my $2,000, what if I made it 10 times more? What would that be like? It is about the being. So what would that energy be like? Okay, so what if I times it by 50 or go smaller, phases if that's what works for you. But just out of curiosity, a lot of times people think like, okay, I make 2,000, the most I can make is a little bit more than that. But when you're willing to stretch that, you will actually allow you to be aware of other places you can receive that money. Looks like somebody's being me. That's so funny. Grateful you. Does that make sense? Okay, it doesn't even have to make sense, but
no, but I get it. So like if you're making $5,000 a month, for example, and you want more, aim for a little bit more, 10,000, 7,000, whatever it is, and get the energy of that, and whatever comes up, clear all that, destroy and create all that, and then ask for more again, and whatever comes up, destroy and create all that, and keep going until you get a sense of, I guess, infinite possibilities.
Yeah, there's a point financially that when you have a certain amount of money, and I don't know how much you guys have discussed money here, but have you guys talked about the 10% account?
No.
Okay, so one of the
saying no, so I'm going to go.
One of the things we talk about is that when you make your bills significant and very important, literally you're going to attract more of your bills. Mm-hmm. So one of the things in Access we talk about is the 10% account. So, and maybe at beginning you don't do 10%, you do 1%, whatever that is for you. But consider every dollar that comes into your life, whether it's your business or you from your paychecks or someone gives you money or whatever, take 10% of that money and put it a place that you're not going to touch it. Meaning, put it in a savings account, put it in your drawer if you know you're not going to touch it. Some people do that. Whatever that is for you, because money attracts more money. And when you're attracting more bills, it's that vibrationally you are at that space of the lack and you're attracting what you're asking for. So when you're honoring you with that 10%, what you actually do is you let the universe know that you matter to you and your bills are not more important than you. And you'll start to shift the energy of not having money to having money. And ask, what is that number in your head to where you would no longer feel like you don't have money? So what is that, you guys, all of you? What number would you have to have in your bank account to no longer feel like you don't have money, that you actually have money? And that's the amount you want to have in this 10% account before you ever spend it. And when you do spend it, you don't spend it on water, your mortgage, your rent, or anything like that. You buy intrinsic things like gold coins or silver coins or jewelry like this. I bought this with my 10% account like 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. Actually, I bought this with 3 of my 10% accounts. It was my personal and my 2 business ones. Mm. And it's been amazing what it's been contributing to me. Now, I don't have to feed this money. Okay? That's the difference. You don't want to use your 10% money towards something that you have to use more money to feed it. Okay? Now, if I needed to tomorrow, I can go sell this and this has already gained value from when I bought it 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. This already was a couple $1,000s more like last year when I looked into it. It doesn't mean I'm going to sell it, but it's the whole idea of whatever that is for you, that you could take your intrinsic value if you had to and get money for it. Mm-hmm. Versus more expenses.
And I'm so glad that you mentioned about the business account because, because I have a 10% personal account and I have a business account. And it's like, okay, so I know this is a 10% account. I can use it for jewelry. Yay, because I love jewelry. But then it's like, okay, what about the business account? But what do I do with that? Do I just let it, go in there all the time? Like, what do I do with that? So thank you for.
Yeah, and the business account could be the same thing. Like your business account could buy coins or it could do, there's a lot. Now, just like I said, I talk to my body. I actually talk to my businesses. I talk to business. That's a gift I've always had, was chatting with businesses. So I would say before you trying to figure that out, would you be willing to ask your business, hey business, what would you like to do with this 10%? Is there something? And you'd be surprised. You will get information and awareness of things that you would have never thought about, but could actually create other possibilities for you and your business.
It really is about asking questions, being in the question and asking questions of everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So including, not just your business, but including that 10% account.
Totally. Everything has consciousness, including that 10% account. So ask it. And see, when you include the universe, when you include your body, when you include the business, you're actually allowing them to work for you. Mm-hmm. Instead of you working for them.
All right. Can you say that again? I heard it, but I didn't hear it. Can you say that again?
We think we have to do everything ourselves. Mm-hmm. But the minute you allow everything to contribute to you, every consciousness of everything to contribute to you, you allow them to work for you. Okay. So it's funny, I'll tell you this. I have a bunny at home and I have a horse. They are not part of my 10% account because what they would do is consume and they're more cost than they are.
Right.
But that's where I was wrong. They contribute so much to my life and living. And I knew that, and that's why we got them. But I realized how much this year in January, I went to San Diego for the Out of the Box class, and I was talking to Gary, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. My horse lately, like all this stuff's going on with her hooves and whatever. And I realized, he asked me some questions, and I realized how much my horse has been desiring and demanding to contribute to my life and living, and everywhere I wasn't receiving from my horse. I had made it about my job to take care of my horse, to make sure there was someone to take care of my horse when I'm traveling and nurtures. And it was all about me doing for the horse, but it wasn't about me receiving. Now, I would receive when I would ride her, when I was next to her, when I would hug her. But what if everything in your life doesn't have to be next to you? Are you willing to receive from everything in the universe, even if you don't know the person, even if you don't know the creature, whatever? Being willing to receive from everything doesn't mean you have to even know who they are.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, I am. I will from now on, because I've been one of those, gotta do it myself, don't need any help, don't need any support, I can do it all.
But how much was that this reality that we had to? Like, how did we get to where we are? Is because we were willing to be and do whatever it took for ourselves. We weren't willing to stop.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. And being present, being connected to the body, with our body, having that relationship with the body. I mean, I never did until recently. And with your business, everything, it's like I was always separate. I was in my own box, and everything else was, outside.
Can I just, though, invite you to something different? It's so easy for us to say what we didn't do. But what if you did? What if you've had connections with your body? What if you have been communicating with your body in your business? You just haven't acknowledged it yet.
Yes.
Okay? Because if we get out of judging ourselves and go into the gratitude and just be like, hey, I'm so grateful for who I was, what I did, what I didn't do up until now. Now I have more information. Now I have more awareness. Now I get to choose something different if I want to.
Oh, thank you.
Because that is such a different space. And when you don't judge something, you allow it to grow. But when you judge it, you kill the energy you already created.
True.
Wow. Yeah, Carolyn says, my horse passed away and still contributing. That's what I'm saying. They don't even have to be here anymore in a physical form to contribute to us.
Amazing. I mean, I have to say, this call has been brilliant. Like Caroline said, it's been brilliant, and just everything that you shared with us has been brilliant. We haven't even talked about the gift that you have for our lovely audience. So for those of you who are on the live page, you can click on gift, because it's actually on the gift page. But can you talk to us a little bit about the gift? And yeah, I'm just so yay! I'm so glad we did this.
Me too. Thank you, because this is a gift for me too. Just being even part of these conversations is a contribution to me in my life too. So thank you for that.
So we didn't even talk about pregnant possibilities, pregnant with possibilities. And there was something else that was coming up. I didn't even ask that. I was like, there's just so much already.
But what if everything is a pregnant possibility? And because everything is a possibility. It just depends. Have you given birth to it yet or not?
Oh,
so
wow.
There's lots of possibilities. We just may not have given birth to all of them. When I was looking at what to offer people for the gift, there's so many classes I've done. There's so many things I could have contributed, but I just kept asking the energy of what would they require? What would they desire? And one of the classes that I did kept popping. And so for the gift, it's 3 tools to take you from frustration to creation. And I find it very interesting based on our conversations today that that's the one that wanted to come out. And this one actually was also translated in Portuguese. So don't be surprised when you hear there's multiple languages. If anything, I actually invite you to just be present with it and see when there's another language. I love languages, by the way. I find that how you receive the information and the level that it actually clears and opens doors for people is pretty amazing. So anyway, so I hope you guys enjoy it as well. All you have to do is click on that link, put your first name, last name, email, and country, and then poof, it will appear in your inbox.
Yep, it was pretty easy because I test everything, and it was easy peasy, so.
The only thing I ask is check your junk box, because depending on your email system, sometimes they want to stop things from coming into your inbox.
Yes, check your spam, check your updates. If you're on Gmail, your updates, promotion, all the folders, check them because they might be there. And you might have to confirm your email. That happens a lot too with people.
That's just a legal thing, so you guys know. They just want to know we're not spammers. Mm-hmm. So just know they're getting tighter and tighter on that. What else is possible?
Exactly. And it's just saying that, yes, I give permission to receive this information. So please do that, because otherwise you won't get it. I'm just wondering if there was any other last piece that we wanted to share with everyone. This is amazing. It's like,
well, does anyone else have any more questions? Is there anything else?
Yes, somebody has their hand raised. I'll just unmute you. Oh, you are unmuted. Perfect. Go ahead. Hi.
Yeah, my question is the 10% saving account. I always have this question. What do we do later? I mean, what is the end of it? I mean, do you use it for something? Because my husband keeps saying, oh, I need to make payments, so I'm going to take it out from here because it's like a saving. And I keep telling, this is not a saving, this is an honoring account. Mm-hmm. Fine, but I keep saving it aside. But what do I do with it then later? I just leave it back for the people behind, like my daughter. I just leave it and go.
This is such a great question. I'm so thankful you asked for it. It's not meant to be a savings account, but you can keep the honoring account in a savings account. So you are perfectly correct in the way you said it. The purpose of this is not to pay the bills. And I will tell you one thing that I found personally. When you honor you, all these other gifts from the universe literally show up in your world. And the minute you use your honoring account to pay bills, to pay the things that you're saying, I don't have, therefore I have to use this money, literally your money flows will shift and change. So one, ask a question. Hey, like for me, the only time that's not true. I used it once because I was going to be published in a book and I needed the money right away. But I asked the 10% account and I asked the business. I was like, hey, you guys, would it be possible for me to borrow this money, but I will return the money and I'll return it with interest. And I got the green light, it was just energetically expansive to do that. And I did. But the other times it's always been about like buying intrinsic things. So it's like gold coins or, stuff like this. And then it just expands, makes it greater. And then other people I've talked to where they've used it for their bills and other stuff like that, literally their money started shrinking. Because what you're doing again is you're coming from the space of lack that you have to take it from here instead of creating more cash.
Okay. I have clarity on that. And even before Access, I've been keeping stuff like money aside and it just keeps growing and the money is always flowing. But I always have controversy with my husband, and he's always operating from lack and I'm always operating from abundance and flow. Yeah. But I don't know, how do I be a contribution to him to step up and understand the 10% account?
Well,
does he have his own 10% account?
No way. We have a business 10% account. He's saving it aside. He's keeping the business 10% account, but he removes some money from it. And then he goes like, what is this? I mean, what the hell? I mean, what are you supposed to do? Just leave it behind and take tension and sleep when the payments are due. And I'm like, oh God. And I just fail to understand him. Explain it to him. Sorry.
The first place with your husband, and my husband's different, but there's a lot of things my husband and I do different. He doesn't do any Access classes, but we're just different, and we came from different spaces of money as well. Like I had to increase my allowance level for my husband and his choosings of things. So for what I did, just so you know, like my husband, I asked him to do a 10% account, and he still doesn't really do a 10% account. But what he does is he puts money away for his 401k or other stuff like that. Like to him, he's creating his 10% in a way that he can't touch it. So it's fine. He's creating whatever works for him. And I separated on purpose the money that I'm creating for my 10%. So I have 2 personal accounts I created for me, and I have 2 businesses, and each of the businesses now have their own 10%. He has no clue about any of those. Those are for me. Those are for me just for fun, and I don't have to tell him. Now, it's not hiding it from him, but it's just this honoring that I realize we just do things so different. And if I did it his way, it wouldn't work for me. And if he did it my way, that wouldn't work for him. So it create more wonkiness between us versus that, ease and joy and glory. So if you're also willing to allow him, like, what if you didn't have to have him choose what you're choosing, but put what would be ease for you, that if he spent that, it wouldn't create chaos in your world.
And how would I do that? Because similar to my situation, similar to yours, I keep it aside. There's some stuff which I don't let him know. And there is something that I made him do it for 10% just to let it grow. So he's doing the 10%, but not very happily, but I'm fine with it as long as he's doing it.
Yeah.
So how do I let it happen with more ease? And
you're just going to have to keep saying, allowance exceed my awareness here. Because when you have more allowance for him, he doesn't have to energetically resist what you're asking either. You actually invite him to choose for him. And when our husbands, as much as we love them, our kids, or anyone we adore, our employees, whatever, the minute we stop pushing that energy that they have to do something, the more they may actually even choose it. So allowance and really being space with it, and almost be so much space that if all that money went away, you'd be okay with it.
So allowance exceed my awareness, right? Not my
Yeah,
resistance.
yeah.
Allowance
Allowance
exceed my awareness.
Your resistance, I would just say, anything I have resistance to this, I'm going to destroy and uncreate. Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all night, short, spurs and beyonds. And one of my other favorites is interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Interesting point of view. He has this point of view. And say that like 10 times and see how much the energy changes.
Just one more small question, quick one. The 10% account. So finally, what do we do with it? We just leave it and go?
Here's the deal. The purpose of that is for you to get to the space where you're willing to honor you, and the space where you're willing to know money is not the creator, you are. Okay. So you may hit a point that it gets to be $100,000 or $1 million or whatever that number is for you, and you no longer are in that space of where you can go into the lack. So a lot of times, for me personally, like my husband's into stocks, and I have found alternative ways for us to invest our money to make more money. So you may find that there are things you're willing to use your 10% to create more money for you. It's not about the money. It's the energy of getting away from the lack and into the abundance. And I know you say you have the abundance, but abundance from the degree that you no longer find the money is the valuable product. You know you are.
Okay, work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a couple of more questions here. So what about not wanting money because people just want to take it from you? That is a really interesting one, Reverend Randy, because that is one of the inventions and lies that we have been bought from other lifetimes and this lifetime too. When you have the worry or you fear something, you literally will attract that energy of what you're fearing into your life. So if you fear someone stealing that money from you, you literally are pulling the energy out there to bring people that are going to steal that money from you. So when you're willing to be more space with it and like, hey, I actually am going to create what works for me, and then I get to choose if I desire to give it to someone else or not. And from that space, you literally become not invisible to those kinds of people, but you're not in their awareness. Remember, they have a box, or you have a box. Whatever you put in your box, you can't be aware of anything that's around it or any other point of view other than what you've defined as your point of view. So if someone were to come and try to steal that money from you, you wouldn't have the awareness. So being aware is one of the greatest gifts that we actually have. But how are you going to use your awareness to your advantage is the difference. Mm-hmm. And then the other question is, can the 10% be both spouses? Yes. Is it better to be individual? No, it depends on you and what works for you and your mate. And it's not allowance exceed my resistance here. It actually is allowance exceed my awareness. And interesting point of view, I have this point of view to whatever it is you're resisting and destroying and create and pot and pock.
Yeah, that's a good one. Interesting point of view. Do that a lot too, in the pot and pocking for that.
And you don't have to say it out loud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All of this stuff, it doesn't have to be out loud. It can be in your head, so people don't even need to know what you're doing. So it's not a problem. You can do it, at work and so on and so forth for some of us, right? Perfect.
Can I ask one last question, please?
Sure.
If I want to make Access really my business, where do I begin from? Because I've done so many classes, but I'm just not putting it into work. I'm just using it for personal use, But if I want to make it as my business, where do I begin from?
The one thing I would just say is, what if you could add Access as one of the businesses that you have? Because I think a lot of people, like me personally, I was ready to give up my management consulting because I was like, oh my God, I love the way we talk. I love putting my hands on people's heads or doing body processes and all this stuff. And every time I was trying to kill my management consulting business and grow this business, literally my business management kept growing even bigger. It was like, heck no, you're not going to kill me. And I'm so grateful the business didn't allow me to kill it. Access is something you can add to anything and everything in your life. And yes, you can be a facilitator, you could be a practitioner, you can learn lots of different specialties. So it just depends on you. You can start from bars and be a bars practitioner and a bars facilitator.
That's exactly what I have done everything, but I'm just not stepping up. I've done bars, I've done foundation. I'm prepared for Maestro, I'm prepared for CF, but I'm just not stepping up and choosing and starting it off.
Okay, but so truth, is it you're not stepping up, or is that not what you're desiring right now?
There's something that is there's something that I need a starting point. I'm not getting a starting point. How and where and when?
Okay, so what if you were willing to not have that and just say, okay, these 10 seconds would I like to choose to facilitate? Oh,
yes,
no. Yes, you do. Okay, cool. So now do it. It starts with you choosing. It starts with you saying, okay, I'm going to do this.
But
so now what?
Somewhere I feel who would choose me?
Now, if you have that point of view, what will you create and what will you invite?
Obviously, if I have doubt, I would create doubt in my universe.
Doubt's not even real. It's a distractor. So how much fun would you have facilitating a class?
Wow, it's so expensive for me.
Go from that space, not from all the other things that are there to distract you. That's what I'm saying. We think so much. And by thinking, you literally move away from the possibilities. You go into the linearness of this reality. So instead, okay, how much fun can I have? Okay, will this be fun? Will this create greater for me in the world? Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to become a bars facilitator. I got to do my license there. I'll get the manual. I'm going to schedule an event. I will, invite people. And I'll tell you, the first place it's going to start is you chatting with others, inviting them to come. And when you say, let me share what got me excited and how I even found this initially, that will draw more people than you trying to find the systems that are going to work for you to invite 1 million people.
Okay. Like there's a CF training coming up in March and another one in December. So I'm always in question. Should I go for the March one? Should I go for the December one? Should I go for the next December, not this December? So
Ask, if I choose this, what will my life and the world be like in 5 years? if I don't choose this, what will my life in the world be like? I mean, for me, I did that, and it was so funny. I could have gone to Australia. I just didn't work with my family. Like, all this stuff got created. So originally I was going to go in Australia and get my CF. And it was so light for me to actually wait and do it in March. So I go to Europe, and Italy is where it usually is. Next year will be Rome again. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, so that's where I've been going. And then it was light for me to do Costa Rica. And I was like, okay, so if I choose to go to Costa Rica, what will my life in the world be like? And then I was like, it wasn't as light. It was more light to go to Rome. So you got to go with what's going to work for you.
So ask questions, ask questions, ask questions.
Yeah. The only thing I recommend is if you ask a question, tap in, be aware of it, but don't second guess yourself by asking the same question 20 times.
Yeah.
Until you get a different answer.
Yeah.
Because people do that all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly what I do.
Yeah, good. Hope that helps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
You guys are amazing. Thank you for all these questions. They're great.
Great question. Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll send contributions to Carolyn, her daughter, and her grandkids too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this has been amazing. I mean, we went way over. But I say, wow, such a powerful conversation, right?
And I think I'm supposed to be on another call like 15 minutes ago. So how does it
how does it get more of that? No, this was so much fun. I just want to thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for their questions. Brilliant. We'll have to have another conversation again for sure. You know, because
my pleasure.
So much fun. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Continue to live your life filled with joy, peace, love, abundance, and happiness. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now.
Bye. See you soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad you made it. All right.